Welcome to the 5-minute meetup. This is a 5-minute video I do on Fridays as opposed to my longer form videos on Tuesdays. And today we're talking about money. I did do a video called The Truth About Modest Advances. If you want to check that out, you can do so over here. And today we're talking about book advances more in general. I'm going to be sharing 5 quick but important facts about book advances. So hopefully this helps give you a little bit more quick and dirty information about advances. In case you didn't know, a book advance is essentially sometimes, I'll get into that, when you get a book deal, you may get an advance, which is money that you're paid up front for your book. Again, we'll get into all of the nitty-gritty of that, but essentially money that you're being paid in advance of you doing the work of finishing the book. So let's get into those 5 facts. The first quick fact is that you do not always get an advance. Yes, this is a truth. In most cases in traditional publishing, you will get an advance, but there are cases, for example, with small publishers where you may not get one. They may, for example, offer you higher royalties on your book instead of providing you an upfront advance because they're a smaller company and they kind of got to wait for you to make money before they can be giving you money. And so that's the first quick fact. It may not occur. You won't get all that money right away. That's fact number 2. So depending on the size of your book deal, if it's at a certain size that's the publisher can kind of pay out in one go and you are publishing, for example, a standalone, they may be able to give it to you all in one go. That's something your agent may be able to negotiate, but for the most part, it's going to be spread over several payments. And the more books you have, the more payments it's going to be split over. So if you have a 3-book series, it's going to be split over a bunch of payments. These can be like, for example, getting a payment upon signing, getting a payment upon submitting your polished manuscript for your first book, getting paid upon submission of your finalized draft for a second book. Sometimes it can be split even further. You can be paid a small portion for submitting the first draft of another book, then submitting the finalized draft of another book, and so on and so forth. You can also be paid when the book actually releases. So there's a ton of ways your payments can be split. Chances are you're not going to get it all in one gigantic lump sum payment. So if that's what you're expecting, that is not the truth of that matter. Alexa Donne has a video. She has a whole series about money in book publishing that I definitely recommend checking out. I'm going to link it right over here. And she does an awesome job at breaking down exactly how the advances can be split into payments in a super easy to understand way. There will be fees on your advance. So that's fact number 3. So for example, your agent fee. So you're paying your agent, of course, for the amazing work they've done. That's 15%. And then your country. So depending on where you live, it's likely that you'll have to pay taxes, at least for sure in the US and Canada. That's also dependent on your overall kind of the money you make for the full year, including any sort of day job you have. Again, that'll differ for your country, but that's kind of how it works in the US and Canada in North America. And that can be 30%, for example. So 15% agent fee, 30% taxes. So that's 45%. So your advance is your advance minus 45% of it. And so that's something to keep in mind as well. Fact number 4, remember when I talked about how your pay is split into those different payments? So those are things like for submitting your draft and submitting your finalized copy and for the book coming out. And publishing is unpredictable. So for example, if your editor is swamped with other projects, they can't get to your project right now, you have to be pushed a little bit, that pushes your pay. If you need more time to do your edits and you have to push the deadline a bit, that pushes your pay. If for whatever reason your publisher thinks there's too many people in your season and they want to push you to the next season so your book is delayed, that will push your pay too. So this is kind of one of the reasons people say don't quit your day job, because it's unpredictable. It's not like a 9-to-5 job where you're like, okay, I get paid every 2 weeks or I get paid every month as long as I work without fail. In this case, the way deadlines shift will also shift your payments. And the 5th fact, and perhaps the most depressing of them, if your book gets canceled, which hopefully it doesn't, but if your book gets canceled, and for example, you have 3 books and you've written 2, you're not still going to get paid for like what you would have written for the third book. That's not going to happen. Anything the publisher hasn't paid you, they're not going to go and like backlog and pay you for it anyway. That money is not going to come anymore because you haven't done that work. So why would you get paid for that? So that's also something to keep in mind. Again, hope upon hope, nobody's book is getting canceled, but that's one of those kind of unpredictable things that you need to be prepared for when you are doing your financial planning. Those were the 5 facts. Hopefully that was helpful and informative to you. Hopefully it wasn't too depressing. But again, I'm not saying all of this to depress you. It's so that you can be very realistic about how to financially plan when you get a book deal. So then you know, okay, this is realistically how much money I'm getting, because I think especially if you get a large deal up front, it can look like a lot of money, but then when you're thinking about how things are going to be split over time, it may not be exactly the case. While I'm here, I'm going to highly recommend Alexa Donne's series on publishing money. She did a full series about this. It is very comprehensive, very informative. I'm going to link it up here and also in the description. Highly recommend checking that out. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe for more publishing videos, writing videos, etc. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!